Hey, Eric.
Hey, Chris.
I'm very energized.
Because you've swallowed 6 batteries.
I've not tried that yet, but that could work. But no, the answer is that we're moving on to a new season. It is Season 8 of Retrograde Amnesia. And I'm always excited for a new season, but I'm especially excited for this season. You know why?
Because you just spent 53 straight weeks talking about Lunar the Silver Star.
Ding, thank you. But I do want to take this moment to thank all of the folks that stuck with us through the Lunar podcast. It was a lot of fun, but it was also very long and arduous at times with the NPC dialogue. Perhaps the most comprehensive analysis of Lunar the Silver Star story that has ever existed.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, prove me wrong, exactly. But now we're ready to move on. But first, we must play the hot sounds. Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast covering classic Japanese role-playing games, chapter by chapter, beat by beat. Welcome to Season 8, Episode 1 of our coverage of Phantasy Star IV, The End of the Millennium. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by Eric. Hi.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. When I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this.
When was the last time you were dead broke?
The HVAC incident almost wiped me out earlier this year.
Got you pretty good?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. We're also joined by the RealNet, a collective of patrons who are watching us record this podcast live on a secret video feed found at patreon.com/retroam.
We're also joined by the FakeNet, who we used to introduce as a post-production AI companion. AI is a bad word now. Zero AI is made in the production of this show. So we now call it a robot voice from the future that's Australian.
Initializing FakeNet.
Hello there. I make occasional audio appearances when neither Chris nor Eric do their homework, or to offer additional detail not available at the time of the original recording.
Are you sure we can't take back the term AI?
Not yet. It has to die first. It has to go under.
Because we never called it a generative AI production of synthesis.
It's all encompassing. It has taken over the nomenclature, the wording, the vernacular. AI, slop. AI is inseparable from slop. Culture has to de-slop it before we can take it back.
So we can take back AI once there's a separate word for AI slop.
Once the U.S. economy crashes and the country goes under, then we can start using it again. That's when I'm comfortable doing that.
This is a different podcast, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, then we don't get to use it. That's the result of that.
So the FakeNet is going to die?
No, we just can't call it that.
If it's a robot voice, then it has to have artificial intelligence.
Not necessarily. Not generative AI.
Well, then how can it respond to questions if it doesn't have generative AI?
I make up the answers. It's me.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Thanks.
Chris, what's this podcast?
Yeah, this is Retrograde Amnesia. This is a chapter-by-chapter, beat-by-beat analysis of classic Japanese role-playing games, as I just said. This is our 8th season of this podcast. Congratulations. We've been doing this for
6 years.
6 years now.
So we're going to go through this game chapter by chapter, beat by beat, but not in this episode, and maybe not in the second episode, depending on formatting. We have to go through the book report that I spent all of June 2025 making.
Yeah, it is important to set the table for our linear analysis of the game by learning about how the game was created, how it was received, and how its legacy has been retained over the years.
The foundation from which we will build our house of shit. Chris, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Release information. Created by, this is new to me, Team PSIV. That's how it was credited in the manual. I looked at the scan of the damn manual. I've never heard anyone use that terminology before. It may be a thing like the North Americans just labeled the Japanese team as. I don't know.
Oh.
Published by Sega, Phantasy Star IV. That's what IV in Roman numerals means, Chris. The End of the Millennium, first released for the Sega Mega Drive in Japan on December 17th, 1993, 6 years and 13 days before the Millennium actually ended. Chris, are you a Millennium truther? What day does the Millennium end? 99 or 2000?
Well,
December 31st, 1999 or December 31st, 2000?
I think we got to just round to the 1,000, right? So it started on 1/1/2000. It ended on 12/31/99.
See, I believe the opposite. I believe it started on 1/1/2001, based on the principle of counting to 10.
Yeah, but I'm basing this on the principle of the Y2K bug, and I got to leave work early because they had to close the store down early because they didn't want the cash register to crash.
FakeNet, when did the Millennium start?
Initializing FakeNet.
The Millennium started on January 1st, 2001. It will end on December 31st, 3000.
Phantasy Star IV would not come to North America until February of 1995.
Holy cow.
And it would not make it to PAL territories until December of 95, which was after the PlayStation had launched. I mean, usually PAL gets nothing, so it's good they actually got something over there.
Yeah. Usually at the beginning of our podcast, we're telling PAL to eat shit.
That's right. Xenosaga 2? No. Or wait, they got Xenosaga 2 but not 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that affects the European nations.
That's why we haven't covered Xenosaga 2 yet.
Yeah, the PALs don't know about it.
Yeah.
Phantasy Star IV infamously released to a suggested retail price of $99.99 due to the 24 megabit cartridge size.
That seems like a lot of money, Eric.
Push the button.
$100 American!
That's 3 whole megabytes, Chris. That's what 24 megabits equals. What can you get for 3 megabytes?
Like a CSV file?
Oh, yeah, I can get an MP3 of Pearl Jam's Jeremy.
How big is that?
Probably less than 3 megabytes.
You think so?
It's a short song, isn't it? All right, fine. Short song. Luna, Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
Short song. I don't like that song. Chris, using the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation calculator, $99.99 comes to $212.57 in April 2025 money.
It's a lot of money, Eric.
Chris, would you buy your 10-year-old children a $212 video game?
Can we set some parameters here?
Sure, make up whatever you want.
Well, Phantasy Star IV is a game with a finite length, right?
Depending on how many times you play it, yeah, but like one
let's
burst.
Just assume you're going to play it once, maybe twice, right? So, no, I would not buy them a finite game. But my children are children of the
current day,
of the current age.
They're now.
So all their games are pretty much ever-present games. They're like, Dad, I need $1 so I can buy 80 Robux so I can get a touchdown on this game,
on this Roblox.
Yes, and and so if I could pay $212 so that they would have like
212 touchdowns.
212 touchdowns.
Then I might do that. It would be a value judgment. But in terms of a traditional video game, that would be a pretty hard sell. Although I did try to buy my kids some like basketball player shoes the other day, but they were sold out instantly.
Michael Jordan shoes.
Yeah,
huh?
I was trying to get those new mics.
That's nice.
Not really. They were different ones. But
I'll get them some Shaq shoes.
No, I think the Shaq shoes are like the ones you can get at like Walmart.
That's
right?
why I would get those.
Yeah. They still make those, I think. But all the kids know that they're from Walmart, so no one gets them.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Shaq Diesel failing us yet again. That is more money than I've ever paid for a video game, even through my regrettable game collecting phase. Can we talk about the price even more?
Yeah, I love talking about finances.
The original Phantasy Star on the Master System was an enormous 4 megabits and featured a battery backup save. Jeremy Parrish found an October 1998
He means 1988 ad, not 1998.
ad listing Phantasy Star for $70 for a fucking Master System game in fucking 1988.
Wow.
Similarly, Phantasy Star II and Phantasy Star III had original retail prices of $79.99 in 1990 and 91, respectively, which was $20 above the then normal game price. Cartridge size is either the excuse or the reason publishers felt comfortable charging more for Japanese RPGs, for persecuting RPG gamers. I'm not educated enough on the subject to know if that is actually true, but it is a thing people repeat all the time, which obviously means it's always true in all scenarios.
I think this is like the subtitled anime on VHS phenomena.
Meaning it was a product made for contemporary sickos you could only buy at specialty stores?
That, and also, for no goddamn reason, the subtitled anime was like $10 or $15 more per VHS tape when that stuff first started coming to like Suncoast Video in the US.
More in relation to regular VHS tapes? Like, I'm going to get Crimson Tide and Speed, $15 more is going to be for the anime tape?
No, I'm talking about like if you got Sailor Moon subtitled versus Sailor Moon dubbed, the subtitled one was more expensive. Even though you would think that there would be more costs associated with producing a dub. That's kind of fucked. That was predatory, I think.
That sounds a little weird, but yeah, that actually, yeah, as far as like they are already preying upon people who demanded the most accurate thing possible.
Yes, it is worth what people will pay for it. And actually, don't answer this if you're going to answer it later, but like, what was is there any sales data behind these games? Do we know like how they sold, who bought them? Anything?
Thank you for asking, Chris. That's coming in roughly 30 seconds.
Okay, great. Let's get on to it then.
As was the style of late-era Genesis games, Phantasy Star IV was one of the games that Sega of America shipped in a paper box with a black and white manual printed to the cheapest paper stock imaginable.
Oh.
Chris, you weren't a Genesis kid, were you? You didn't have Vector Man 2 in a paper box, Sonic 3D Blast in a paper box?
No, I was not.
Sonic and Knuckles?
I was not a Genesis owner. I had a friend with one, but I did not own one myself.
Those are enormously hard to keep unfucked as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I was unable to find any reliable Phantasy Star IV sales data. Some guy on Reddit asked Copilot, an LLM, and it spit out 1.3 million copies worldwide, But LLMs are frequently incorrect and usually unethical, so Phantasy Star IV's true sales figures remain a mystery to me.
What was the citation for the LLM? Do you want me to ask ChatGPT right now?
If you can, I clicked on the link. The link links out. I sourced all of my data in this document. If you'd like to look it up and tell them. I honestly don't understand your question.
Well, usually when you ask an AI thing,
A prompt?
a thing, it will give you the citations. The first response to the Reddit post is, what sources did it give you? All these LLMs tend to make stuff up unless you ask them about sources. Hold on.
Cool.
Well, let's get to the bottom of this. This is important. How many copies of Phantasy Star IV were sold worldwide? It simply cites the Reddit post that you link to with no sources.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I love the internet. Great.
But it does say, I could not find any reliable, verifiable data confirming how many copies were sold. So I would say that is probably bullshit.
I'm so glad you didn't scoop me, Chris.
Thank you.
The first of Phantasy Star IV's many, many ports came to the Sega Saturn in February of 1998 as part of the Sega Ages Phantasy Star Collection, which was a collection of all 4 Phantasy Star games. That was a Japan-only release, and while Digital Eclipse ported the Phantasy Star Collection to the Game Boy Advance for North America in November of 2002, Phantasy Star IV was left off the cartridge. That Game Boy Advance collection was only the first 3 Phantasy Star games. Another version of Phantasy Star Collection was developed by the Heroes and Wizards at M2 and released to the PlayStation 2 in Japan as Volume 32 of the Sega Ages 2500 line, and it was the newly retitled Phantasy Star Complete Collection. Chris, why were those Sega Ages releases branded with 2500?
Because it was hearkening to the future of the year 2500, the midpoint of the millennium.
When Sega would finally finish aging, that's what that would mean?
Yeah, that was, yes.
Okay, that's wrong.
The year 2500 was when all the dreams would be casted.
Right, yeah. The Dreamcast would have lasted 2.5 centuries.
Were there 2500 Genesis games or 2500 Sega Classic games?
No, that's also wrong. You want to keep guessing? You get one more guess.
Has it have anything to do with Atari?
It has nothing to do with Atari.
Oh, well.
You're thinking of Blade Runner.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The correct answer is these were a special greatest hits collections kind of promotional thing that were 2,500 yen.
Oh, 2,500 yen. Okay.
Like $25, $20.
Yeah. Okay.
Temporarily.
That's a lot less than $100, Eric.
It's true. While past collections worked in a few hacks for Phantasy Star 2 and 3, this PlayStation 2 collection allowed players to change the walking speed of the characters, fiddle with presentation options like resolution and scan lines, and through difficulty sliders, alter how much money and experience the party gets after a battle. And the first thing I remember doing that was like Bravely Default, and that was obviously well after this came out.
Yeah, and that was part of the
game,
the mechanics of the game. But that is interesting that there was something that a re-release or remaster or whatever you want to call it that includes something like this on the PS2.
Yeah,
like when I think about those kinds of features, I think about the remasters of games that have honestly, ones that have been released in the past year or so.
With Rewind and Fast Forward.
Yeah, like Suikoden and Lunar and stuff like that we've seen come out. Perhaps that will be in the Phantasy Star IV End of the Millennium remake that we will summon by doing this podcast.
It's announcing the week after this comes out.
Yes.
While Phantasy Star Complete Collection was only released in the Japanese market, it also featured the option to play each game with the original English localization. That made it very import-friendly for Phantasy Star sickos. Included in this collection are all 8 of the Phantasy Star 2 text adventures that fleshed out the Phantasy Star 2 party members, which you could originally download those text adventures through the internet in Japan with the Mega Drive modem in 1990.
Wow.
It was through a service called Sega Game Toshokan, which I pronounced incorrectly. Why have I heard of Nintendo Satellaview my entire life, but never this, Chris?
Is it just the Japanese version of the Sega Channel, or was that later?
No, Sega Channel was like 96, 95. This is 1990. That service is also where Fatal Labyrinth came from, one of the games we actually got, and one of the few Genesis games Chris has played.
Yes, we played on a stream at patreon.com/retroam once.
Anyway, the Phantasy Star Complete Collection made it to the Japanese PlayStation 3 digital store as a PlayStation 2 classic. It's still available for purchase, provided you can figure out how to navigate the Japanese store on your PlayStation 3 and also pay for it with Japanese yen. Stateside, further vanilla Phantasy Star IV ports were included on a bunch of compilation discs and services. Those include the Sega Genesis Collection, which was of course released to the PS2 in North America on November 7th, 2006. It also came out on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, released to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
People call it that all the time.
Yeah.
In North America on February 10th, 2009. Finally, it was released for Sega Genesis Classics, a PlayStation 4, Xbox One collection released on May 29, 2018, and it came to Nintendo Switch a few months later on December 7th, 2018. This collection, at least on console, has 5 save state slots for each game, along with rudimentary fast forward and rewind options. Before it was released, I reviewed this collection and every single game in it in a 7,000-word piece for digital chumps. When you review video games and people give you a code, as a courtesy, you usually send the publisher or PR agency a link to your work.
Yeah.
And the PR guy at Sega, Zach, saw mine and he was like, I have to read all of this, right? This is you didn't have, what are you doing?
Did you just say that I needed to or I wanted to?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was the same deal with Sonic Olympics Tokyo 2020.
You just had thoughts
on Mario and Sonic. Yeah, I reviewed every single game in that too, and he sent me the exact same email. Like, can you please stop doing this?
You had things that you needed to get out of your system.
Kind of. Basically. Upcoming Sonic Adventure miniseries coming soon.
He's not joking, folks.
We're really, as soon as I can record it. This brand of Sega Genesis classics also saw several piecemeal releases to Steam, some of which have now been delisted. I believe that delisting includes Phantasy Star IV. Chris, did you look for this game on Steam?
Yes, I do have this game on Steam. I played this game using the Steam version.
But when did you pick that up?
A while ago.
Okay, I'm saying, like, currently, I do not believe it's for sale. I think it's when Sega purged everything.
It has been delisted, that is correct. I purchased the whole shebang
all of the Sega
several years ago when it was on sale on a Steam sale or something.
Phantasy Star IV released to the Wii Virtual Console on December 22nd, 2008 for $8. It took me a long time to find that information, Chris. That service, of course, shut down on January 30th, 2019. I am told that you can re-download those games if you purchased them when they were available. I have also read that service is completely dead and games cannot be re-downloaded. It's one of the great mysteries of this thing we call life, Chris.
Yes.
Are you willing to turn on your Wii and test this system out?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris is going to do it for the next episode. Dig up that Wii, Chris. Get in there.
I think it's in there.
He thinks it's in there, but does he know how to get on the internet in 2025?
Do I need a modem for that?
Who knows?
No,
I think it launched with Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I had an Ethernet port adapter for Smash Brothers.
Yeah, rest in peace, Wii Virtual Console. It was a good service.
It was a good idea. It had fucking TurboGrafx games on that thing.
I don't know why they didn't do it again, but whatever.
Nintendo couldn't. Remember, like on the Wii U, they made you like pay an extra $2 to add them to your Wii U library.
Yeah, they just couldn't figure out basic things.
Yeah, a lot of people can't figure out how to sell you old games. It's one of the biggest problems plaguing the industry, IMO. Phantasy Star IV was the only Phantasy Star included in all 3 regions of the original Sega Genesis Mini console, which of course came out in the fall of 2019. The Genesis Mini 2, released in 2022, contained Phantasy Star II.
Yes.
That one also had the PlayStation 2 collection's walking speed, money, and experience hacks. Most recently, Phantasy Star IV was released on October 25th, 2021 for the Nintendo Switch as part of the Sega Genesis expansion pack for Nintendo Switch Online, NSO, the Switch's online service to get it online on the internet. Unlike the excellent Sega Ages release of the original Phantasy Star, you cannot outright buy Phantasy Star IV on your Switch. It only exists as part of the NSO expansion pack. Fuck. That will cost you $50 a year. The month-to-month NSO is only $4, but I think you can only get the expansion pack with the full year price. I could be wrong. I've never bought any of that shit.
As someone who bought that shit when it first came out and continually forgets to cancel it.
Good. That's how they get you.
I can confirm that Phantasy Star IV is indeed on there. I did go check that out.
Well, it's on there, but the great mystery here is if you buy it month-to-month, if you can also buy the expansion pass.
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
They probably make you pay full price for it because it also includes things like free Mario Kart DLC, or at least for Mario Kart 8. I don't know what they're doing for the new one.
Tetris Forever. In the mobile space, Phantasy Star IV was available on iOS and Android through the Phantasy Star Classics app in 2019. That app was, of course, delisted in 2023 when Sega arbitrarily decided to nuke that particular retro initiative.
Mm-hmm. Video game preservation, am I right?
It's lovely. Everyone just enjoys preserving video games. Finally, there was an unlicensed Nintendo Entertainment System demake of Phantasy Star IV made by Weisheng Corporation in 1996. That is interesting on a conceptual level, but also it's Chinese, no thanks. By Chinese, I mean the language is Chinese, not Chinese production. I don't give a shit who made it.
Yeah.
I found a 2017 GameFAQs post by Adastia who said that most of the ROMs of this floating around cannot actually be completed unless you find the one titled Weisheng Zanshi 2. Also note that all the text is once again in Chinese, and I know there's multiple kinds of Chinese text. I don't know what the fuck it is. Don't ask. I don't know. Did you look up footage of this, by the way?
No.
The NES demake?
This is the first time I've heard of this.
It looks wild. But again, cannot be completed. I don't know why you'd waste your time unless you're a sicko, which if you're listening to this, you could be a sicko, so fuck me, I guess.
You might be a sicko if.
How to acquire and play Phantasy Star IV in 2025.
This is important.
According to pricecharting.com, as of May 2025, a complete in-box Genesis copy in that fucking paper box goes for about $200 American. Loose, just the cartridge, you're looking at around $100 American.
Wow.
I think that's funny that it's still $100. You want to buy Phantasy Star IV, it remains $100.
Yes.
A physical copy of that Sega Ages 2500 Phantasy Star Complete Collection on PlayStation 2 goes for around $250, which is like Sega Ages 25,000. Am I right? At the current yen conversion rate?
Yeah, great.
Initializing fakenet.
No. $250 is currently 37,969 yen.
Wonderful job with that one, Eric.
Thank you. It's a joke I just improvised. It's not even in the notes. I'm just that funny naturally.
Yeah.
Or just hack your PlayStation 2 with free McBoot, buy a hard drive adapter, and figure out a way to get that on your PlayStation 2 hard drive. Use the internet. It can help.
As you can tell, Eric is a classically trained comedian.
Despite being released in 2018, new physical copies of the Sega Genesis classics are still available around the internet. Currently on the website Amazon.com, it's $26 on Switch, $25 on PlayStation 4, and $27 on the Xbox One platform.
Cool.
Once again, games under the Sega Genesis Classics brand were delisted on all online stores on all console and PC platforms in late 2024, meaning you cannot buy that collection online. You can't download it. You have to buy a physical copy. Why were they delisted? Because games have to go away so publishers can figure out how to sell them to you again after you've already bought them before. Then and now, games are made to be disposable products, and most of the suits then and now have no idea how to monetize this shit past forecasted timelines. But if you want a used Genesis Model 1 mini console, the one with Phantasy Star IV on it, it looks like those are selling for $75 to $100 used on eBay. Chris, how many mini consoles do you have?
I have the NES, the Super NES, and the PlayStation.
Good.
Those are the three I have. They're all modified to include games that were not originally included on them.
Games like Chrono Cross on the PlayStation.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
Thinking of the Turbo graphics that didn't appeal to you? Turbo Mini?
No, I thought about getting the Genesis as well, but the mini console fascination that I had for approximately 3 months wore off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I've got a computer.
I have all of them. I think I've not plugged any of them in once.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I was going to plug in one of them, borrow one of them for you to capture Space Harrier 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
The fixed version of Space Harrier 2.
For the one video we've made. And by we, I mean you.
Well, I mean, we made the video. You made the audio, I made the video.
You made the video, yeah.
I made the video.
It's a correct sentence.
Anyway, I've ended up getting footage from somebody else. Thank you to that person. Go to the YouTube and we'll look at videos. Bye.
You can also, of course, pick up the method many of us have over the last 30 years and illegally acquire a ROM file on the internet and use one of 1 million emulators.
Yeah.
FPGA-based or otherwise, and emulate the game on a personal computer. I always liked Kega Fusion to play Genesis games on a personal computer.
I do like that emulator as well. That is what I'm using for this playthrough, actually.
Cool. On your phone, people emulate games on phones now. I don't know. I'm 100 years old. Chris, can you play this on your telephone?
Probably. A lot of people will emulate games on their phone, and those people have the special ability to be able to deal with touch controls.
So born post-2000.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. When I watch my kids use touch controls for games on their tablets and stuff, I am blown away with how much they don't look annoyed by what they're doing.
Yeah. Pretty soon they'll be doing drone strikes on touchscreens.
It's the last time you tried to use a touchscreen controller. I can tell you exactly when it was for me.
Pre-COVID, I don't know. Like, I don't play phone games, period. So it's like, you know, what was it for you?
I don't know if I'm saying the name of this game right, but I think there was a game called Chaos Rings.
Oh, the Final the Square thing?
Yeah.
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 And I think that had one of those things. And
wow.
It was obnoxious.
That game's got to be gone at this point, right?
I'm sure. Well, I don't know. It might still be out there. Square's got a pretty heavy...
FakeNet, is Chaos Rings still out there?
Initializing FakeNet.
There are 4 unique Chaos Rings games, all released from 2010 to 2014. Chaos Rings 3 is available on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. The other 3 Chaos Rings games are only available on Amazon's App Store.
I think we already answered this, but Chris, when you steal Sega's intellectual property, what emulator do you usually use to enjoy it?
As I previously mentioned, I like the Kega Fusion emulator to enjoy my Genesis games and 32X games when I was capturing 32X footage for
and Sega CD, don't forget.
For the aforementioned video.
Does it play Pico? I have no idea. Probably not.
Maybe not. I was originally going to go with the Sega Genesis Classics version.
Of course, that's when you were going to copy me.
It's easier for me to play using the emulator because it's easier for me to pause, save state, leave open, leave running, stuff like that. Since I have a
Father's production.
I have a very chaotic household.
Chaotix was a 32X game.
Yeah, I'm not going to play that.
Development history, staff, interviews, all combined into one section. The late and great Reiko Kodama, also known as Phoenix Ray, from days when designers were forced to use pseudonyms, acted as co-director and designer of Phantasy Star IV.
There was a developer on Mega Man 2 whose pseudonym was Fishman.
That's pretty good. And you never fought a Fishman in Mega Man, did you?
No, it was
Splash Girl, Bubble Man.
It was confounding.
We could and should do an entire episode on Kodama's work, but briefly, her art credits include Sonic and Sonic 2, Fantasy Zone 2, which of course, Chris, is a Master System exclusive, and the first two Phantasy Stars. And on that note, most of the team from Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star 2 moved on to make Sonic the Hedgehog for their next game.
We're going to consult the RealNet real quick. The correct pronunciation of her name is Rieko.
Rieko. From now on, we're going to be saying Rieko until I forget.
I think I'm saying that right. Anyway, yeah.
I trust people more than I trust myself. That's one of those things I should have Googled before.
It's okay. Sometimes you don't think about that you're going to have to pronounce words when you're writing them on the page.
Out of my mouth. The only game, Chris, don't look at the notes, that she directed before Phantasy Star IV was, or after, she's directed 2 games, period. The full director credit.
Okay. Was this game on the...
We have streamed it.
Okay.
It was on the Sega Saturn.
Okay.
You thought it looked decent. It was part of our Working Designs adventure.
Magic Knights Ray Earth.
Magic Knight Ray Earth.
Yeah.
She fucking directed that game, which I believe we remembered as having potential.
We did, but the intro to that game was so long we could never get to the combat, and then we got disgusted.
We didn't get into the isekai-ness of it. We were still in the present before we got transported to wherever that game took us, and then we played something else.
Yeah.
It was riveting. Kodama also has production credits on Skies of Arcadia and Deep Fear, which is an insane combination of games. Deep Fear is funny because it was a Saturn exclusive Resident Evil knockoff that they only released in Japan and Europe. But that was back in the news a month ago when Ubisoft sold off a few of its properties. Deep Fear was included in that for some reason.
I remember hearing about that, but I had no idea what Deep Fear was.
It looks good, but it sucks. We should stream it sometime.
Deep Fear stream coming to you.
Actually, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Stream some Deep... So how far can we make it in Deep Fear?
I'm for it.
After an early stint in edutainment software, the final new game-ass games Kodama worked on before she passed away in 2022 was the Seventh Dragon series of role-playing games for the Nintendo DS, PSP, and 3DS. Chris, do you have any Seventh Dragon experience?
No. Should I?
I was going to ask you that question. God damn it.
It seems like I've never heard of it before. I may have heard of it, but it seems like I haven't.
It would have been very funny if I just made that up to trick you. Most of her latter-day interviews come out of her work with the Sega Ages re-releases for Switch and 3DS, as well as all of her work with the first Genesis Mini. A horrible fun fact is her 2022 death was not publicly known until the Genesis Mini 2 was released. The staff credits included a memorial for her passing. Got some interviews with her.
Is that cool or bad? Is that sweet or bad?
It's sweet there is a memorial, but it's weird that's how people figured it out. Because I remember that Genesis Mini 2 came out in Japan first, and somebody, that was a weird day on Twitter. Somebody found it's wait a minute, is she dead? What the fuck? Because she was heavily in, a lot of these interviews that were, not a lot, but some of these interviews we're going to talk about are from her promoting the Genesis Mini 1 and the Sega Ages line she was working on around that time. I don't know what she died of. I don't think it's really important, but I do get the feeling that it wasn't really expected. Interesting.
Okay. Well, I wonder if it was a situation where her family didn't want it out, and then they put that in there, and then it came out. You know what I mean?
Kind of like that. I mean, the Genesis Mini 2 came out months after she passed, so I don't know. First up is a Schmuppalations translated developer interview, which is what it was called. It was compiled from many interviews. I couldn't figure out where this came from. Regarding Phantasy Star IV's huge 24 megabit ROM size, Kodama said,
"The hardest period was definitely transitioning the development from a 16 megabit cartridge to a 24 megabit cartridge. We were very worried whether Sega would approve the change. However, once they gave the go sign, the pace got a lot more aggressive." Laughs. "By the end, we weren't even sure that the 24 megabit was going to be enough.
Ha 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 ha.
But we made the game we really wanted to make, and I'm very thankful for that."
Cartridge size, Chris, it's important.
Yes, I agree.
From Schmuppalation's translation of the new wave of RPGs feature of Famicom Tsushin, in 1993, on world building, Kodama said,
"The first thing we worked on for Phantasy Star IV was getting the details of the world and setting solidified. Take a single candle, for instance. We asked ourselves, Would that be something you'd find in this world? Is there electricity? Do the windows have curtains, drapes, shades? Just a lot of little details like that. For the characters, we figured out most of their personalities as we drew them. With each detail and a bit of background we added to the characters, the story itself also expanded. The world of Phantasy Star IV came into view for us very incrementally.
I love a world constructed with consideration, thought, and purpose, Chris.
I do like the idea also of like the incremental development or the incremental world building here, where you're not sitting down and writing a world building Bible. You're just kind of
make shit,
seat pantsing along the way, flying by the seat of your pants, mad scientist mode a little bit, just kind of mushing it together, making sure it makes sense, and letting it all come out a little weird in the end.
Kodama continued.
During the game, however, those backstory elements aren't made explicit. Much of it is kept secret on purpose, which is an experience we want players to have. The Phantasy Star series takes place on a different world in a different age, so we want players to be asking, I wonder what that is, while they play. When they first see an android, we want them to ask, what in the world is this? That's also why we titled this game Phantasy Star End of the Millennium instead of Phantasy Star IV, which is what it was called in Japan, right?
I think so. I'm not sure if there's a 4 behind it or not. I think there was. There was.
I think there was not a 4, if I remember correctly. FakeNet, can you clarify this for us?
Initializing FakeNet.
This appears to be true. Neither the Japanese box art nor the title screen have a number after the title.
It made me wonder if there was a story Bible or a lore Bible for this game, because as she mentioned, I like it when the creators know more about the characters, but don't actually put that in the game.
Yeah, you let that stuff inform how the characters act, but not necessarily put it in explicit. A book that you find on a shelf or whatever, yeah.
On being insane, editorialization prompt mine, Kodama said,
I think recent RPGs have become too user-friendly. For example, if you buy a battle axe in a store, the game will plainly tell you that gives you plus 20 power. But I don't like everything to be displayed in numbers like that. In order to preserve the integrity and illusion of the world we've so carefully built, I'd rather players just get an impression of the weapon being stronger because it is made of stronger material. We do display hit points, though, somewhat to my chagrin.
She continues.
Honestly, if I could have my way, I wouldn't use any human language for the monster names or names of towns and places. I mean, Phantasy Star is the story of a completely different world, right? But of course, for players, it won't work to have a game that's nothing but nonsensical, unintelligible words.
I love it. I love people being insane and trying to just do stuff that doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense in their head.
Yeah, and that is like one of the big kind of sticking points for Japanese RPGs in particular is like the math is usually there in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
numbers falling out of shit.
Yes, we're all maintaining the kayfabe of like the numbers are there, but we're also enjoying this as a story. Like we don't have to talk about the numbers necessarily, but we all know they're there. We all know that there's attack values that the characters aren't aware of. But she wanted to kind of keep that in the background, which I think is an interesting way to go. I don't know if we really do that anymore.
No, games want to tell you everything about everything all the time.
Yeah.
At least AAA space games.
Yeah. And I think even indie games too, to that matter, like no one's really tried to do anything quite so bold that I'm aware of.
Quite so bold. And like games today, I'm kind of, maybe because I'm an adult with less time, but I kind of wish games would, how do you phrase, shut the fuck up more often and let me play the video game unless it's like an explicitly story-based thing. But about her like not wanting human language in there, that reminds me of the, I think, was it Snatcher? Kojima wanted the disc that would self-destruct.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then with Steel Battalion, there was supposed to be like a glass thing you would actually shatter in real life on that controller to press and eject. But I don't remember if that actually was apocryphal or if they actually wanted that idea. But just stuff that like no one on the sales side of things would ever approve being in a video game.
That's beautiful. Oh. The ideas themselves are beautiful. I don't know if they'd be beautiful if implemented, but
yeah, no, it'd be very funny if my PlayStation 5, actually my PlayStation 5 did stop working with a Yakuza game in it, so.
This is a spoiler for how the Nier games work, but like the idea of deleting your whole save is like the closest thing that I can think of.
Reaching through the interface and just adjusting something that is supposed to be off limits.
Yeah.
This quote actually has more. She continues.
I think the innovation of the Phantasy Star games has mainly been in terms of graphics and visual presentation. However, when you consider that RPGs evolved from tabletop gaming and that characters exist as something in the player's imaginations, then the perspective that you shouldn't display too much overtly is also correct. For my part, though, I think the main draw of video games is their overt use of sound and visuals, and that's what we have pursued in the Phantasy Star series.
There's a really good GIF that's been used for 20 years of The Rock all dressed up, clapping at some award show, and that's what I want to do to that quote. Like that is what I'm looking for in my Japanese role-playing game.
If you trace the origin of JRPGs, they were the first offshoot of the original computer RPGs that really wanted to deal with shit like that, visual and sound.
Visual, like take the Dungeons and Dragons interface and then add graphics to it.
Well, I mean, there were computer RPGs that were doing that before. I mean, Wizardry, for example, was doing that, but it was not until the proliferation of JRPGs like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, etc., where the visuals were a focus.
Okay.
And if you take that to the next extrapolation, Final Fantasy VII did it, and then was the next one to like do something
CG cutscene,
big and bold in terms of visual presentation, whereas computer RPGs were more concerned with other things.
Numbers going up.
Not that those other things are bad. I like computer RPGs. Baldur's Gate 3 for life, baby. Next season 9, Planescape Torment.
Fuck off. This almost has nothing to do with anything, but in Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection on PS3 and Xbox 360, if you collected 1,000 bombs, which is obviously the currency of the game, it would unlock a 3-minute video interview with Kodama.
Cool.
There's nothing revelatory in that interview. It's fairly broad, but what a neat thing to unlock. In 2009, unlocking a video of the lady who made the game in your game. Our next source is a 2019 Sega Genesis Mini interview from the Sega YouTube promotional video.
Phantasy Star IV, The End of the Millennium, has left the biggest impression on me. It was the first project in which I not only created the graphics, but also had the opportunity to work on planning and writing. I went on to be a director or producer on different games, but I would say Phantasy Star IV was the crossroad or turning point in my life. I'd say that the Genesis was when I became more aware of what type of games I would make, what sort of games I would make, and what type of person I wanted to be.
That's really cool when you figure out what your profession is after you've been doing it for a while. It's like, oh, wait, this is what I'm good at. This is what I actually want to do.
Did the Sega Genesis also make you find out the person that you wanted to be?
Kind of. At the time, I thought lock-on technology was the coolest thing of all time, and I've just trying to been pursuing lock-on technology in my own life to try to adapt things, create at later dates for marketing reasons, and plug them into my own interface.
So in other words, you like to bolt shit on top of other shit?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, good.
Big fan of that. I call it, that's shoes, car, like put me in a car. That's the same thing as lock-on technology. I can drive that and lock on to my next location.
Well, good for you.
I don't think any of that works.
No.
2021, a Sega Europe YouTube channel interview. There's nothing revelatory here, but she tells the host her favorite memories at Sega were working on all the RPGs. She also spoke of the origin of the original Phantasy Star.
When I joined Sega, we tried to make an RPG that would not lose out to Dragon Quest.
Again, that's about Phantasy Star 1, but cool. She also said, and I'm paraphrasing, that she was the 4th one added to the original Phantasy Star team, and they had her play Dragon Quest first, so she had an idea of what an RPG was. After that, she thought it would be fun to make an RPG. She continued.
So I started making RPGs that would take Sega beyond Dragon Quest, rather than plagiarizing Dragon Quest.
The word that was subtitled for her there was actually plagiarizing. I thought that was a fun way to contextualize. Yeah, obviously we're ripping off Dragon Quest, but we need to do our own thing here.
Yeah.
She also said that an RPG is made to, quote, build love and friendship around the stars. And that's what made Phantasy Star the most pleasing to many people. So that quote kind of gets lost in the translation, but like, I think I interpret that to mean we're going to do this, but it's going to be planet hopping and we're going to be friends at the end.
I'll take it.
You, like me, may have noticed that Kodama was a woman. In all of the games, all of the JRPGs and God hands that we've covered on this podcast, we don't often see women in design roles, and other than Roberta Williams, I can't think of another woman in a director role during the late 80s or early 90s. In a 2019 interview with Famitsu, after receiving the GDC Pioneer Award, Kodama was asked if she ever felt like being a woman left her at a disadvantage within Sega. She replied,
Right. I'm not sure if it's because Sega's corporate culture or what, but I've never felt I was at a disadvantage just because I'm a woman. I've been working on various things related to game development for over 30 years now, and since joining Sega, I haven't been treated any differently from men.
A translation of that interview can be found over at 1millionpower.com.
Yeah, when you think back to the games that we've covered on this podcast, the only women that come to mind, I could be missing some, are Sorya Saga, who worked on Xenogears, and Xenosaga too, right?
Yeah, I believe, didn't she write like Ramses and Miang or something like that? Like she had a big part in writing the story, although Tetsuya Takahashi is like the mainly credited for the story. I know she had a big part because of their relationship. And the other one is Junko Kawano from Suikoden. As far as a story credit type thing?
Just as far as...
is anything?
Just as far as like any women being credited with sort of high creative roles in any of the games that we've covered.
So Sega, weirdly progressive in the 90s. Who knew? It goes with the whole environmental initiative, Chris. Nintendo didn't do that shit. I have no idea if that's true or not. Toru Yoshida is credited for story plan, graphic designer, and co-director. He also handled some of the character design for Phantasy Star II, design support for Skies of Arcadia, and most recently, creative design for the Like a Dragon Ishin remake. And somehow, marketing work for Sonic Cross Shadow Generations. Yoshida's bio at Sega Retro states he spent most of the last decade doing design work for mobile games, which sounds like hell.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet it pays well. From Shmuppalation's developer interview translation, when asked how the Phantasy Star IV project got started, Yoshida said,
"It was some really good timing. Right as we were thinking about doing another Phantasy Star, Sega asked if we would make another. After that, I went around the office asking people if they'd like to work together on it, and so the development officially got underway."
Kodama actually chimes in here. It's like a group interview. She says,
"That's also partly why this development was a lot of fun. I think we, the developers, started the project on our own initiative, and many people on the team had worked on Phantasy Star II and were able to address the shortcomings and unfinished ideas they had from that game in Phantasy Star IV."
I think we'll mention it later, but Phantasy Star III was, I think there's only one person in common on the entire development staff from Phantasy Star II, and that's the music, one of the music people.
Mm-hmm.
So Phantasy Star III has this black sheep reputation within the series because it wasn't made by the original creators.
Oh gosh, that's how sinful.
But whatever, I think it did some cool stuff. We talk a lot about the occasional bits of freedom given to developers, like when they're granted the opportunity to make a game they actually want to make rather than being assigned to a project, which is what it sounds like it happened here. Last time for us on this podcast, the game that did that was God Hand. And this makes me eager to see what Phantasy Star IV is cooking if it has the God Hand, we made the game we wanted to make design ethos. When asked how Phantasy Star IV was connected to other games in the series, Yoshida replied,
"It's a direct continuation of the first two games. Phantasy Star III was like a collection of side stories, but with Phantasy Star IV, we are returning to the main storyline, with Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star II forming the historical backdrop. I wanted to make one more game where you get to explore the whole solar system and travel from planet to planet."
I don't know why, but when I thought of like historical backdrop, that made me think of like, for Metal Wolf Chaos, the game where the president of the United States is in a mech and blows shit up, like the 1800s are historical backdrop.
Yes.
So it's obviously the same principle here.
Of course.
Yoshida continued,
"When our team made Phantasy Star II, we were stretched pretty thin and we couldn't include all that we had imagined. We felt that leaving the story at Phantasy Star II, therefore, would have been a real waste. And that's how the idea for Phantasy Star IV got started."
Chris, you know how Phantasy Star II ends?
With, you fight a big creature?
That's standard in most JRPGs. We'll go over the ending. Spoilers for Phantasy Star II a little bit later.
You kill God? Space God?
Is there a god of space? Regular god is space god, right? Technically? Depending on which god you believe in?
Yeah, unless the god only oversees certain planets or certain peoples.
That's a good point. Our solar system deity. Yoshida continues.
Also, Phantasy Star II's battle animation still stands out today, I think. It allowed for really great visual presentation, and again, we thought it would be a huge waste to not revisit it. But Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star II also had a lot of flaws, and we wanted to fix all that and make a game which players would consider the definitive Phantasy Star. So in that sense, we also saw Phantasy Star IV as a sort of remake of the best elements of that series.
Regarding the creation of the characters in Phantasy Star IV, Yoshida said,
"In our first staff meetings for Phantasy Star IV, we already had 4 of the characters down: Chaz, Rune, Rika, and Ren. They were the successor characters to the previous protagonists. Chaz, of course, we envisioned as a descendant of Alice. Rika was like a remake of Ney. Rune tied back to Noah, Lutz, and
there's a lot of name shenanigans going around between Japanese and English versions of these games.
Yeah. And Ren was like Siren from Phantasy Star III. It wasn't until we had these 4 characters that we began working on the story in earnest. We wanted, of course, to feature the unique and quirky aspects of Dizolian and Motavian culture. So we then made Raja and Grizz. They were also partly our attempts to remedy some of the complaints from Phantasy Star II, you could say.
Regarding the Motavians specifically,
the Motavians have been a part of Phantasy Star since the first game. You know the Jawas from Star Wars? The Motavians were inspired by them. They weren't depicted very clearly in the previous games, but we've taken some of their traits, like their propensity to collect garbage from Phantasy Star II and their love of creating things, and added a bit more background to flesh them out.
Krish, are you ready to learn more about the Jawas?
That's a Star War. Can I press the button?
Sure.
Go see a Star War.
This is near the end of Yoshida's section, which means it's a great time to bring up episode 154 of Retronauts from June 3rd, 2018, where host Jeremy Parrish sat down with Toru Yoshida and Rieko Kodama. At the time, they were promoting the most recent crop of Sega Ages games that were making their way to the 3DS and Switch. I cut out 5 clips from this episode that are relevant to Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star IV. Also, Alex Aniel, aka CVX Freak, handled the translation work for this episode of Retronauts, and that's whose voice you're going to hear dubbing English over Kodama and Yoshida. In the first clip, Jeremy Parrish asks about the creative vision for the first Phantasy Star game.
You know, the original Phantasy Star debuted around the time that RPGs were becoming very popular in Japan. Can you talk about the origins of the game and like what the creative vision for it was?
ちょうどドラクエ3がドラクエ2はの頃でやはりおっしゃるように日本で
Phantasy Star came out around the time when Dragon Quest II, I think, had hit the market. Before then, RPGs could only be enjoyed on PCs. For example, games such as Wizardry and Ultima. And because of that, I felt like only core gamers or hardcore gamers can enjoy that. But I did play them myself. That said, when the Dragon Quest series finally hit the Famicom, or the NES, this was the time when I felt anybody, including non-core gamers, can begin to enjoy RPGs. And as you know, it was very popular. So at that time, Sega thought, we should maybe try making an RPG game ourselves. And this was also around the time when I happened to join Sega. So they had asked me, what would you like to do in the company? And I felt that now that would have been the time to make an RPG. But what I wanted to do above all was to make something that no one else was making. So to describe that concretely, I wanted to make, instead of 2D dungeons, I wanted to make 3D dungeons. And instead of inanimated enemies, I wanted to make animated enemies. So this was around the time when Sega thought, we need to make a JRPG, a Japanese-style RPG that has the Sega essence and is developed for Sega hardware.
Chris, how do you feel about the quote, "What I wanted to do above all was make something no one else was making"?
I think that's kind of badass.
Yeah.
In a lot of respects, but I think it also could be a misinformed ethos a little bit. Like if you're really trying to just, like, that is a path to edginess.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also a path to like originality and like, really making something really great, but it is also a path of making something really, really reactionary and shitty.
It's high confidence in yourself to get it right without, like, obviously I'm better than everyone else. I can execute on a level you've never even seen.
Yeah, and I'm going to assume, since our community wanted us to do this podcast for this game, that it took the good path and not the shitty path.
In the next clip, Jeremy asks about the direction they decided to take for Phantasy Star IV and if first-person dungeons were still on the table at any point.
Jumping ahead to Phantasy Star IV, since both of you co-directed the game, I guess you can both speak to this, but I feel like Phantasy Star 1, 2, and 3 were all very different from one another in a lot of ways. Did you find it difficult to settle on a format and a style for the fourth game in the series, given how much change there had been in the previous games? Like, I've heard that there was even consideration of making it a first-person dungeon game again.
3D ダンジョンにするってやったね。
その話の、じゃあ、じゃあ最初に 3D ダンジョンの話からすると、確かあれテストで作った。
With regards to your remark about, possibly going back to 3D dungeons, actually at the beginning of development, we did create a 3D dungeon to test the game. However, when we implemented it, it turns out that it took up so much data that we couldn't actually do anything else with the game. I think this was due to ROM limitations with the data size. There wasn't enough ROM space to add all the data that we needed if we took this approach. And as you know, we had already transitioned from the Master System to the Mega Drive. So with the Mega Drive, you could achieve prettier graphics, whereas with the Master System, most of the graphics were just lines and such. So if you were to keep with that precedent, we wouldn't have been able to realize that on the Mega Drive while trying to maintain those prettier graphics. So we couldn't have enemies on the screen and whatnot. So we really had to change the design of the game around quite a bit.
When reading Phantasy Star IV reviews and some preview coverage, I kept coming across uncited articles stating the game was originally intended for Sega CD. GameFan mentioned it, and uncited, it's in the trivia section for Phantasy Star IV at Moby Games. In the Retronauts interview, Jeremy Parrish actually asks, by way of the 3D dungeons, what would have been different if Phantasy Star IV were on Sega CD?
Would you have been able to have implemented 3D dungeons if you had made it for Mega CD, or was it always supposed to be a cartridge game?
メガ CD っていう方法も選択肢の中にはあったんですけど、割と早い段階でそれは考え
So yes, you were asking about making Phantasy Star IV possibly for the Sega CD or the Mega CD. The thing is, when Phantasy Star IV came out, it was already toward the end of the life of the Mega Drive. And actually, like during the development of Phantasy Star IV, we had already seen glimpses of the Sega Saturn. So, given how the Mega CD didn't sell that well, we felt that it didn't make sense to make a game for a hardware whose relevance was dwindling, right, and was about to be replaced. So we thought, we should make Phantasy Star IV for the Mega Drive. In terms of whether or what would have changed if we did end up making a Mega CD version, I think what would have happened was the event scenes would have been changed into animation scenes. This isn't something that I personally would have wanted, but it might be something that people on the development team were thinking about if we would have made that version. Because, as Kodama-san mentioned, at the time, like these animation scenes were so popular on Mega CD games.
In the next clip, Jeremy gets back to the question from the first clip, asking why Phantasy Star IV took the direction it did.
So, actually, I did want to get back to a previous question. I think I accidentally sidetracked you a little bit by asking about the first-person dungeons. But I am curious about just kind of the creative process that went into deciding, let's make Phantasy Star IV in this style, building off the previous games in the series.
これまでのシリーズの良いところは全部取ろうっていうか、良いところを集めたゲームにしようっていう。
So, to answer your question, in terms of of the approach that we had going into Phantasy Star IV, we, of course, wanted to take all of the good elements of the series up to that point and put them into the new game. But also, being a new game, we also felt that it was the right time to get rid of things that could have been discarded without negatively influencing the game. With Phantasy Star 1 through 3, I feel like the series had developed a set of maybe, I don't know if quirks is the right word, but basically the Phantasy Star series was known to be very easy to enjoy, and I don't know if simple is the right word, but I felt like it was a game for the masses, for the common people. So we wanted to, of course, take that on board to the next game, but in that sense it wasn't so hard to conceptualize, but the hard part came because Sega wanted to make a fresh new experience as well, and we had to change things up to meet that expectation. So we ended up implementing things like new battle styles, newer event scenes. So we crafted a new system around those at the request of the company.
First off, Jeremy found a great way to ask the same question. Again, he's a fantastic interviewer. Second, at the request of the company at the end there was interesting. Whenever someone says, Chris, I did this at request of the company, it reminds me of like the Nostromo crew in Alien, where they just talk about the evil capitalist Weyland Yutani as the company.
Yeah.
Like a corporate move made us do that. Okay.
Man, the government.
In our last clip from Retronauts, Jeremy asks about where Phantasy Star IV found its influence in science fiction.
I feel part of what makes Phantasy Star unique is that it has a science fiction setting. Can you talk about the I guess the creative choice there, and did you find that a difficult setting to work with versus a standard fantasy, or was it maybe more liberating?
難しい。私自身のことを言うと、私あまりメカとかを描いたことが。
Okay, so for me personally, at that point I had never dabbled in drawing, I guess, mechanical kinds of imagery, so things like spaceships or things related to sci-fi. I mean, looking back at it now, of course, I feel kind of embarrassed to look at it. But yeah, sci-fi, science fiction was quite popular at the time. And I've said this to other people before, but I love the Star Wars universe. And I wanted an opportunity to try to make something that took place in a bit of a similar world. I wanted to make a game that would merge like this Middle Ages, this theme of the Middle Ages, featuring those sci-fi elements, but also mixed with, like, I guess, Japanese elements to make it a unique experience.
Our next source is a staff interview from the Phantasy Star Compendium, which is an official Phantasy Star fanbook produced by Sega of Japan and published by SoftBank in late 1995. It was translated by Rebecca Kapowski and hosted at pscave.com, Phantasy Star Cave. The book contains quotes from Kodama Yoshida and designer Akinori Nishiyama. When asked why Sega wanted to make Phantasy Star IV, this time Reiko Kodama replied,
I was told by the company to make RPGs as soon as possible. They also asked me to try to bring together the original scenario writers, illustrators, and character designers. But I met with Yoshida in the meantime, and I heard a story that had come to him while he was taking a bath.
To that, Yoshida added,
I must have subconsciously approved of it.
Ha ha.
Anyway, even though we were on our own up to the very end, you could say that we were somewhat relieved not to have anything or anyone hanging over our heads. Looking back now, it seems wonderful that we were allowed to do the things our own way.
I don't know how game development works, but it seems weird that she was like, hey, go find some guys and make a game. Like, are guys just sitting at their desk doing like a Rubik's Cube until they're gathered to be put on a project? Or are they just like taking design? I have no idea how any of this shit works.
I feel like in this era, they were sketching on things on notebooks, like Sonic OCs.
Just doing my own design processes.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have what little we know of 16-bit game development, at least for Genesis. The Sega Technical Institute, at least the Americans working on that team, have like 6 or 7 canceled games that never actually made it, like from prototype or from notebook to approval process. Maybe that was just like company-wide. Just think of your own games. Also, I get the impression that to make this game, they were just locked in a room for 6 months without much oversight.
Probably.
Which I enjoy.
If you think about like the stories that we learned from the development of Suikoden, I think Konami had a list of games they wanted to make.
Oh yeah, baseball game.
Yeah, and one of them was RPG, and Murayama happened to get RPG, and then like one thing led to another, and then go find your team.
Suikoden.
Yes. I imagine it's similar.
Yoshida then emphasized the team had no outside direction. The compendium asked the staff a bunch of other fun questions. Please check out Phantasy Star Cave if you'd like to hear the staff speculate on the power of the Sega Saturn, mull over their ideas for Phantasy Star V, and reveal what they wish they could have included in Phantasy Star IV. Also, when Kodama said she was told to, quote, make the RPG as soon as possible, I started to wonder how long Phantasy Star IV took to develop. I couldn't find an answer, but I did find a 2017 forum post at the PSO World Forums that contained an interview with Yuji Naka from a Phantasy Star cosplay book. They just make everything in Japan, don't they, Chris?
They do.
When asked how long Phantasy Star and Phantasy Star II took to make, Naka replied,
but for Phantasy Star 2, the scenario part had a head start, so it was likely longer than that, but the art asset and program part only had 2.5 months for development.
16-bit video game development, Chris.
That's what they had to do.
This is vibes-based, but I would be surprised if the team had longer than 6 months for Phantasy Star IV just based on that shit. For context, I've read that Chrono Trigger took over 2 years and Final Fantasy VI took just over a year to make. And I don't think Phantasy Star IV, at least on the level of systems and characters, is quite that ambitious.
Yeah. Kazuyoshi.
Next development staff member is Kazuyoshi Sugawa, was battle plan designer, monster graphic designer, battle background designer, mechanic design, map design, object design, and visual event graphics. That's a whole lot of roles, Chris.
He's the graphics guy.
He was also a designer on the Eric favorite game Mercs, a character designer on Magic Knight Rayearth, and the sole writer of Suikoden Tier, Chris, and Suikoden 5.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Suikoden 5 was not bad.
In 2023, there was a 30th anniversary fan book for Phantasy Star IV. In the Phantasy Star Reddit, poster Yuma Popola either translated or posted a contribution Sugawa submitted to the book, which were his 30-year-old notes on a potential sequel idea called Phantasy Star V.
Cool.
I'm not going to read you any of that now because spoilers, but if you can appreciate what that might have been, look it up. It's a neat treat. Use the internet. Akinori Nishiyama, a.k.a. Locky P, was the designer and scriptwriter. Nishiyama was also a scriptwriter for Sonic Adventure and Phantasy Star Online, 2 other Sonic team games, and a game designer on Magic Knight Rayearth. Again, like Skies of Arcadia and Magic Knight Rayearth in many ways have a lot of the same development staff, like I think of as the follow-up for this game.
Interesting. Yeah.
Nishiyama also directed all 3 Sonic Advance games, Chris. Are you a big Sonic Advance head?
I've played Sonic Advance on my analog pocket a couple of times. It's
Wow.
pretty cool.
All right, I've never played Sonic Advance game.
Oh, you want to play it later?
Sure.
Oh, we'll forget, but maybe sometime.
Nishiyama was also chief producer on the Ultimate Brain game Resonance of Fate.
Ezuho Ippo Numata.
That's right, Chris.
Yeah.
Was the sound director, composer, and sound effects wizard. Ippo, as they like to be known, also contributed music to Sonic 2, Forgotten Worlds, and Dark Wizard, the Sega CD game that's not a Working Designs game. Some fun trivia. Ippo is the only staff member on Phantasy Star IV who also worked directly on Phantasy Star III. From a 2021 interview feature at Kotaku written by Peter Tirius. Apparently at that time, sound designers were not seated in the same office as the graphics and programming teams. Ippo made a request to her boss to be seated in the same room.
I could ask any programmer to show me any scene, a graphic designer to show me any effects, chat with staff, have lunch together. This might not sound special, but I haven't been able to do these normal things. The chance to have bonding moments like chatting with the staff and having snacks with them may seem irrelevant in the job, but is very important in developing games. Working together in the same room made it so much easier for me to compose or make sound effects. I had little difficulty seeing the images I needed. Remember thinking I knew working in the same room would be good, but never thought it would be this good. Return to office now.
Yeah, get back in the office, collaborate, work on teams, Chris. It is weird that they were just like, no, make the sound guy work across the street. Who gives a shit? On being able to see storyboards before composing her music, Ippo said,
I looked at the storyboards over and over again, imagined the scenes, and composed. Unlike battle sequences and walking on the overworld, the script is important in drama sequences, so I composed trying not to make my scores too dramatic. Only with the ending sequence did I wait for the graphics to be completed before I composed. This is because I had to adjust the timing of the graphics and the score to be in unison with each other. When the graphics were completed, I measured the timing of every scene and wrote them on paper. Peter Tirius, I think we've cited on this podcast before.
I'm not sure if Peter worked at Kotaku or if that was freelance.
Well, he's written a lot for Kotaku, but he also wrote some stuff about Terranigma that I think we cited many years ago, 5 some odd years ago.
Peter, we love your work.
Yeah, thanks, Peter.
Shippy Oka led the localization team of Jerry Marcotta, David Forrester, and David Wood. Her only other translation credit was for Barbie Ocean Discovery on Game Boy Color. David Wood is interesting because he has BizDev credits on recent games like Elden Ring and Blasphemous 2.
Cool.
And tester credits on Sonic Adventure, Vector Man 2, Calibri. Chris, what's Calibri?
Calibri is
It's the 32X Hummingbird shooter, of course.
Oh, I was going to say a horror RPG.
Close. Eternal Champions, basically every cool Genesis game. I bet David has some stories. David, reach out. Speaking of localization, we just finished our 7th season, which covered various iterations of Lunar the Silver Star, which was a game inseparable from its novel localization, which was done by an American company called Working Designs. And as we know, that love it or hate it localization was led by Victor Ireland.
I mean, Working Designs is me pretty much because I wrote or edited every single game we did.
In the fall of 2024, Vic went on the Retro Hangover podcast to air his grievances over the upcoming Lunar remasters.
Which ended up being fine.
Which ended up, not even, well, I mean, they removed some stuff. They've hashtag censored my content, Chris. There's no longer an IUD joke where I most need it.
They were fine.
Yeah, fine.
In terms of the overall package, it maybe could use some work, but in
more
terms
sanitized.
The localization was fine.
As part of that, Victor dished some dirt on Phantasy Star IV's trip to the West. His only source is Trust Me Bro.
Well, you know the reason Phantasy Star on cartridge came out in the US from Sega was because of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I want to hear this.
It wasn't supposed to come out. They had rejected it. And I found out about it because I was dealing with Sega Japan a lot. Mm-hmm. And they rejected it, so I was dealing with Sega Japan, and I found out it was rejected. I was like, "Oh my god, I will absolutely license it. We'll do a cartridge. I don't want to do cartridges because they're very expensive up front, but I know that this will sell a lot of games." So I was talking to it's a great game. There's no problem with it. I was talking about licensing it, and then Sega Japan went to Sega US because they had an adversarial relationship. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Well, look, if this is so bad, I mean, this is not the first time this happened. Actually, there's other games this happened with too. But if this is so bad, why is Working Designs all hot to get this game and bring it out in the US? Because we're going to license it to them, but we think it should come out from Sega, so we think you should take it." And so the reason the price on that was so high is because Sega US was like, "Look, okay, we will take this game, but we're going to price it so high that nobody will buy it, so we can be proved right in the end when the sales suck." So because that was like $100 for that game when it came out.
Yep.
It was super expensive. It was way higher than anything else. And the PR was like, oh, it's because it's a big ROM, blah, blah, blah. That had nothing to do with that. If we had done it, it would have been a $69 game, no problem. And they could have done it at $69 too, but they priced it at $100 because they didn't want it to sell. They wanted the sales to be low so that Sega Japan was like, oh, Sega US was right. Well, surprise, they sold out. It was very popular, even at $100, and I made some enemies at Sega US. Surprise.
Chris, do you buy that, or is Victor Ireland a bullshitter?
Is Victor Ireland a bullshitter is a question that we attempted to answer over the course of a 53-episode podcast about Lunar, the Silver Star story complete.
Right, yeah.
And its various iterations. And it is a question that I don't think we were able to answer. Like, I think that...
I think he believes it.
Huh?
I think he believes himself.
I think that Victor Ireland is like very earnest in like the things that he loves and the things that he says.
Yes, absolutely.
And he may believe that he was the purpose or the reason that Phantasy Star IV made its way to the West, but I don't know how to read this guy. Just based on absorbing his work in a handful of interviews.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
can't get a read.
Can't say.
Remains unknown.
Yeah, don't know.
I can't do it.
Finally, we have Clint Dyer, former Sega of America product specialist who has a special thanks credit in Phantasy Star IV. I recognize that name because Dyer, allegedly, was the guy who dug prototype hardware and software out of the trash and once again, allegedly, either sold it to prototype weirdos or released it to the public. He's allegedly the reason Sonic Crackers leaked and how that Sega Neptune mock-up left the building at Sega. So that's nothing to do with Phantasy Star IV. I just think all of that shit is fascinating and it represents a detailed history of Sega that would otherwise be buried. If you can get away with it, steal shit from your job. Parody.
Allegedly. Well, Eric, thank you for all the information. I know you have a lot more to give us.
I think so. This
more?
is a 2-episode origin story.
Yeah, which is good. Our origin story episodes are getting longer and longer, but that's because Eric is going deeper and deeper into the void.
I love making it longer.
You know, also is not a void. Is full of, what's the opposite of void?
Anti-void.
Anti-void.
Mass.
Screaming hole.
Physical world. Earth.
You know who also lives on Earth? The RealNet.
Initializing RealNet.
Hello, RealNet. Nice to see you again. For those listening to this podcast for the first time, because you found us via Phantasy Star IV, well, we consult the RealNet who are listening to us live, and they leave comments and tell us when we're wrong.
How do you join the RealNet, Chris?
Go to patreon.com/retroam and sign up for any tier. Join these live recordings. They're fun. For me. Nervous says, fuck yes, Phantasy Star, text adventures mentioned.
Nervous, that's from Phantasy Star.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, I just blew like something in episode 7.
That's okay. I like to know where the names of the RealNet members come from sometimes. In reference to the Sega PR guy in your...
Zach
in the
RealNet tonight.
Cal L says, PR guy was not prepared for chapter by chapter, beat by beat of those games.
Even before the podcast, I was doing shit like this. It's a comprehensive series of output. You know, looking back on it, with my behavioral issues early in school, like my teacher's primary criticism on the report card was he will not shut the fuck up.
But then you learned to shut the fuck up, but then you needed an outlet to get all that shit out of there, and that became Sega video games. Of writing about Sega video games.
Yeah, other publishers as well.
But Sega was the only one that emailed you back and said, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so see. Rolled Earth says, is there anything to understanding Cable Guy aside from toxic parenting leading to parasocial behaviors? I would need to revisit Cable Guy, but that sounds like a pretty good extrapolation of what we were seeing there.
Yeah, Cable Guy was like, I think the first movie where he was on that role at that time, like he was hitting home runs every single time out. And then like that and Batman Forever, which a movie I enjoy, is like, okay, he's trying something new, I guess. Like he's going for it in Cable Guy.
Yeah. John Doe says, we're listening to a podcast about Phantasy Star IV. We're definitely on the other side of the sicko window.
And yet we still talk about Victor Ireland.
It's going to be one of those things that just can't go away. Like Hammer the Supplier.
Supplier Hammer.
WP says, I fucking love Chaos Rings. Only Chaos Rings 3 is available now. There's 3 of those.
There's 3 of those games.
Wow. Nervous says, I've played some 7th Dragon. It's a weird Etrian Odyssey spiritual successor that's not a dungeon crawler.
What?
What?
I thought Etrian Odyssey was defined by being a dungeon crawler. That sounds interesting. I haven't played an Etrian. I've played both Persona Q games, which are Etrian Odyssey inspired games. So I don't actually know either.
Eric Fernand says, oh God, my mind melts when game designers say that games are too user-friendly.
As I get older, it is like more of a Herculean task to get me to play a AAA game. I put like 10 hours into Death Stranding 2 before I was actively wanting to play it. Like I was forcing myself to down all these how to play this game pills so I can enjoy this game.
You know, I did a little bit of not a complete 180, but a little bit of a 180 on like the excessive tutorialization of games.
Modern games, AAA games. Yeah.
And actually, recently I was complaining about how my kids don't play real games. Real games in the sense that we
traditionally, think
of them.
Eat the slop.
But shortly after that, my kid said, "Can I play one of those Spider-Man games?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So he started playing Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I thought you meant Spider-Man for Dreamcast. Damn.
No. And I don't know if he really stuck with it. But anyway, he said, "Will you stay down here and teach me how to play it?" And I said, "It'll teach you how to play it." And I walked away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, are they at the age where like, Dad, I can't beat this. Will you beat this? Has that ever been a thing for you all?
No, because I suck at Roblox.
Okay, I didn't know if like when your kids are playing break the targets on Smash or some shit.
Yeah, when they were smaller, that's the case, but not anymore. And they're a little bit more independent now, just because.
Well, did he stick with it? Did he continue playing Miles Morales?
He played through the part before the game opens up. I don't know if he went back to it or not. I don't think he has.
Real Elijah Wood in Back to the Future 2 situation.
Yeah. What? Okay.
You have to use your hands.
Gotcha.
You have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
John Doe says this design philosophy is fucking top tier.
It's not bad. I get the feeling that, a lot of teams, if you lack direction, you can go down several holes you can't dig your way out of.
I heard on Retro Nights way back when that Dragon Quest feels like a fusion of the two offshoots of tabletop games, i.e. wizardry on one hand and PC adventure games on the other.
I can see it.
Yeah, now that we're wizardry experts because we played it for an hour.
Yeah. We also played the remake for like 15 minutes.
Well, I think we played the remake for an hour.
Oh, okay. We didn't play Wizardry Actual?
The remake was built on top of actual wizardry.
Right, but I thought we did.
We played NES Wizardry to start, which was just, a fucking nightmare, honestly. My friend Dragon Sword says, "I just now realized this is Phantasy Star and not Star Ocean. My mind decided they were the same thing."
I mean, fucking space. I mean, the games aren't explicitly about space, but space is a factor.
Yeah.
Like, I think, in Star Ocean, were we in space for like 10 minutes till we were on the planet the entire time? Like, I have no idea if they're all like that, but that's the way Phantasy Star 1 was. We never got off the planet, man.
No, we went to at least
went to one and then got in the ship and then went to another one? I don't know.
I don't remember.
It's 4 years ago.
Go to patreon.com/retroam to find out.
I wanted to die in space.
Jesse says, "To me, Phantasy Stars 1 through 3 are all a set of give and take compromises where each game does something I like more than all the others, then has something I absolutely hate, whereas 4 is perfect, no notes in comparison."
Cool. That's ideally what you want the summary of all of your progress and development to be. Figure it out on the last one.
Nervous says, "I respect them for finishing their story with Phantasy Star 4, but I am sad the series went to online and never looked back." But Phantasy Star Online is cool. Did you ever play Phantasy Star Online?
Not online. I think we'll get to it later, but I bought Phantasy Star Online because it had a Sonic Adventure 2 demo.
Oh.
But I wasn't paying for SegaNet at that point, so there was an offline. I played it, but I didn't get it, if that makes any sense. I didn't play what made it special.
I always was interested in it, but never took the plunge.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who are embittered about what Sega used the Phantasy Star brand for.
Mel says novel is kind. I say seeing 71 scrotals. In reference to you calling
Working Design's localization
is novel, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
To know what a scrotal is, you're going to have to go back to season 7. Sorry. We cannot explain that now.
Pervert.
It's too deep. Victor Man says, "Speaking of Sega, I've now had a surprisingly fun time with Sonic Crossworlds." I thought it said Sonic Crosswords at first.
No, it's different.
I want to play Sonic Crosswords.
I like Transformed. The game they made after Transformed was awful.
Team Sonic Racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dumb. I played it for a few minutes when it was on PS Plus or something.
Look, there ain't no Skies of Arcadia course. There's a Skies of Arcadia course, a Burning Rangers course, a Panzer Dragon course, and Transform. Jesus Christ.
I played that for the first time pretty recently because it was on sale for pretty cheap on Steam, and it plays well on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
That's a good Steam Deck game.
It's a great game.
Just to pull out and play. It's pretty fun. Anyway, yeah, John Doe says I need to buy more soundboard buttons. I do. I have multiple tabs, but sometimes I'm not quick enough with it. I've got to get quicker because I've still got this on there.
Lizard Man.
Anyway, thank you, RealNet, for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode of Retrograde Amnesia, Season 8. Today's episode was recorded on October 3rd, 2025. Thanks, Mark
Shepard,
for the intro music.
You're welcome, Chris.
You can find us on Blue Sky and YouTube at Retrograde Amnesia, or go to our website and see what's there at retroam.com. And of course, you can support this podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/retroam and get bonus episodes, miniseries, live recording sessions, ad-free episodes, and of course, access to the RealNet. Join the fun. Tell me when I pronounce something incorrectly or that I'm dumb looking.
You've been saying my name wrong for 6 years.
Damn. Until next time, Eric.
Yes, we will kill God.
And now you may go back to sleep.
Chris, what's this podcast?
Yeah, this is Retrograde Amnesia. This is a chapter-by-chapter, beat-by-beat analysis of classic Japanese role-playing games, as I just said. 6 games? Miniseries?
We've 6 miniseries.
6 or 7 games on our Patreon?
Season,
yeah, covering games that are not on the free feed, like Parasite Eve, Terra Nigma, Star Ocean, Vagrant Story, and others. So we have evolved ourselves into RPG experts, ?
Enthusiasts,
yeah, we're not experts. We are experts about 7 games until we forget the information that we chronicled along the way, which is usually right after we finish the podcast.
Anyway, that was 6 years and nope. The first of Phantasy Fart is did it first time. Phantasy Star IV was the only Phantasy Star included inside all. That sentence sucks.
It depends on if
Dad's going down a road. He doesn't want to go down it. Let's get us out.
No, I was just going to name it a Switch 2 game that I was looking forward to.
Donkey Kong Butt.
And I can't, so.
Okay. Dad bought something he doesn't know why. That's why I didn't buy one. No games. I don't have fucking time.
It's going to be, here's how I justified it.
Yeah, Metroid.
I said, let's not buy each other Christmas presents this year.
Hell yeah.
Let's not buy the fucking
Love
kids.
is dead.
Let's not buy the kids
any Christmas present.
Anything other than what they get for, Chris.
Yeah, fuck them kids.
Santa Claus, yeah.
Which
they don't really believe in Santa Claus, but they do. We still say, yeah, there's Santa Claus. But anyway, I was like, so let's just buy a Switch 2 and just, that's our family Christmas present. Now, I don't have to buy a present for my wife.
Uh-huh.
I don't have to really buy too much else for my kids.
Yeah.
And I have a Switch 2.
Dad just solved the domestic Christmas.
Yes.
Chris, to most people that sounds selfish, but I understand.
I already have a Steam Deck. I don't really need it.
Great. Even more reason to buy it.
Can play Mario Kart with my friends in Vietnam.
As a Cable Guy reference.
You're a big fan of Wukong Black Myth. It's the least... did you play that game? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Bloodborne? I played Bloodborne. I think that's made in Japan, though.
No, it was the game where you play as a monkey. It was kind of like a Dark Souls thing. It came out of...
Enslaved, Odyssey of the West. Yeah, that's a Ninja Theory.
No. It was from a Chinese studio, and I think everybody was... Not everybody, but idiots on the internet were excited because it wasn't woke or something.
Oh, yeah. They aren't woke in China yet.
Yeah. Or I don't know.
Do
you want to ask the fake net to explain that to us?
No, I don't. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't give a shit.
I don't either. The fuck am I seeing?
I truly believe you're hallucinating. I don't see anything.
Hopefully it's just a fly or a gnat that's flying in front of that light.
Could be a ghost.
It's driving me fucking crazy.
Did you kill some people? Are you walking through the river in Metal Gear 3?
Probably. What was I talking about?
I don't know. I wasn't listening.
Am I reading this?
Is it red?
It's red.
You're reading it.
I read red. I read red. During the game, however, those... Shy Guy 32, I said that before I saw your comment. I did not steal your comment.
Shy Guy's comments, Shy Guy's OC, do not steal.
Sorry, I just wanted
Stolen valor.
What was it? What am I doing?
You're reading the rest of the quote. It follows the note that says Kojima is shit.
Oh, okay.
She also spoke at the genesis of the original the genesis. I'm going to reword that.
Even though we were on our own up to the end, gosh, words just they're not.
You got to read them. You see with your eyes, but it comes out of your mouth. It's fucked up.
Weird. Phantasy Star 4. No, Phantasy Star 1. Phantasy Star I. Phantasy Star 1 took 4 months, and for Phantasy Star 2, it was like 2.5 months?
That's what he said.
But for Phantasy Star 2, the scenario part had already...
This is a direct translation from a guy in a forum, dude. I'm fucking sorry.
I know.
Next interview is with Kazu. Next, Ippo Numiyata. Ishihu. Fuck, man. You try it.
What? Sound director?
Try to pronounce the name.
Oh.
Ippo is the nickname.
Yeah.
Masaki Nagaki is credited for sound effects, and from a 2021 interview feature at Kotaku, written by Peter Tirius, Apparently, at that time, sound designers were not seated in the same office as graphics and programming teams. Ippo made a request to her boss to be seated in the same... Hold on. I don't know why I said Mox. I'm going to put that part somewhere else. Actually, just delete the sound effect guy in general. Yes, we'll go to space. I don't know what this game does.
You got to say kill God in the first episode.
Yes, we will kill God.
Do it again.
Yes, we will do it again.
Do it again.
Kill God. Underneath.
Unfortunately, I was not recording when I did the crunch, but my throat is properly coated now with the sweetness of the Werther's original. It's very hot.
You spawn with 5 of those in your pocket every day?
No, I've only been eating them before I have to talk for a long time, which is only before a podcast, really.
Werther's and bubbly. It's Father's podcast diet.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he looks kind of like Spider-Man just landed a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit there, yeah.
I think the alien should always be a little sexy just because of all the Geigerness of it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's kill God until we figure out what else we're doing.
Okay.
That's the rule.
Yeah,
I just made it up just now.
No, it follows logic, all that stuff.
We're not finished yet.
Hello there. I make occasional audio appearances when neither Chris nor Eric do their homework, or to offer additional detail not available at the time of the original recording.
That's when Wii Virtual Console.
I have a Switch 2 in this house now, by the way.
Oh, it's a Christmas gift?
It's in the box.
That's good. Are you going to take it out and like play it, then put it back in the box?
I'm thinking about it.
That's cool. Yeah, do the Christmas stuff to yourself. I found a 2017 GameFAQs post by Audace. Boy, how do you think we should say that word, Chris? Audacia?
Audacia, yeah. Games like Chrono Cross on the PlayStation. Fixed, whatever.
Father's hallucinating.
I don't know, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Zero chance. Zero chance.
Okay, fine. I was
the late and great Reiko? I think it's Reiko. It's Reiko, isn't it?
Let's go with Reiko. Okay, the real net.
She spoke in Japanese. I don't know if I captured a sound for it. It's not here, but go ahead and say it, Chris, and someone may be overdubbing that.
Okay. It was a lot of fun, I think. I don't know. I think taking a bath. I said bath, not bath.
Bath.
She said bath.
Did we gender Ippo as female earlier?
I don't know if we did or not.
Well, we'll correct that in post.
Okay.
Anyway, she said, that's the part where the clip just played. I'm going to delete this, but that's where, for your context, he said, Phantasy Star IV only came out here because he offered to do it and then they did it themselves. It's like a fuck you to prove to him it wasn't going to sell anything.
Yeah. Excuse me. You know, I through the first like the playtime